Let's go to London and get the latest from our UK correspondent, Olly Barratt. Olly, good afternoon. Well, not a big surprise, I guess, that Liz Truss is there. She was tipped as a front runner for quite some time. How did she win?
Well, Dan, one of the reasons that she won is that Liz Truss was able to portray herself to the Conservative Party members who were voting in this final phase of the contest as a more conservative candidate. She promised things like tax cuts, which are very popular with that particular electorate, in a way that differentiated herself from Rishi Sunak, the former finance minister. He was saying that to cut taxes significantly now at a time of high inflation would actually add to that inflationary pressure and be unwise. And Liz Truss somehow triangulated herself into a position where the right-wing section of the party felt that she was their candidate, and she clearly felt that she was able to make that argument to party members. The party members did vote for her, although perhaps surprisingly not by as significant a margin as we had been expecting. We heard Graham Brady there just setting out the results, and this was a result that was closer than many people had been expecting. So perhaps Liz Truss's arguments didn't cut through in quite the way we thought that they did, but certainly she was portraying herself, as I say, as a Conservative running to be the leader of the Conservative Party. She says she campaigned as a Conservative, and she now says she will govern as a Conservative.
And we know that her background is not the Conservative Party. When she was growing up, she was associated with different political party ideologies in the UK. But she's not actually Prime Minister just yet, and that's going to be unfolding tomorrow. What's going to happen tomorrow?
That's right. Boris Johnson is still, as we speak, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. Tomorrow, he will give a short speech on the steps outside Downing Street. We expect at that point that he will point to the things that he views as his achievements in office, his political legacy as he leaves Number 10. He'll then head to Balmoral in Scotland, where the Queen is currently staying. It would normally happen at Buckingham Palace, all of this, but not this time around because of her recent health issues. In that meeting, Boris Johnson will effectively resign as Prime Minister. He'll be followed in very shortly afterwards by Liz Truss. She will be asked by the Queen to form a government, and effectively at that point, that's when she becomes Prime Minister. She will get on a plane back to London and then do the opposite, if you like, of what Boris Johnson did a few hours earlier. She will speak outside Downing Street, talk about the vision for her new administration, the government that she's putting together. She'll then go into Downing Street, get her feet under the desk and start getting on with the business of governing, including appointing a cabinet, which she'll need to do pretty quickly because the cabinet is then due to meet on Wednesday.
Now, when she spoke earlier after the announcement that she's the new Tory leader, she said, and she repeated, "We will deliver, we will deliver, we will deliver." But we know there's a lot of challenges in the UK currently. Amongst them, topmost will be the cost of living. What kind of plan do you think she'll be able to lay out going forward?
It's been interesting during the leadership contest because a few weeks ago Liz Truss was really focusing on that idea of tax cuts. She says that is how you help people keep more money in their pocket and stimulate the economy. It has become clear in recent weeks that that is not going to be enough, certainly is the view of the people around Liz Truss. And so she's promising that in the next few days she'll roll out a significant package of support. It remains to be seen exactly what form that takes. There are some reports that she's considering capping energy prices in some way to make sure that households can avoid really spiking bills in the coming weeks. We don't know exactly how she plans to pay for that, whether it will be through more government borrowing, but it's that kind of measure we expect that she'll be announcing, and it could run into the costs, into the tens of billions of pounds in terms of what it's all going to cost. It's a huge challenge, a very difficult in-tray that she has in front of her as she comes into Downing Street. At the same time, though, Dan, that is an opportunity for Liz Truss as well. If she can show that she can handle a crisis such as this, there is political upside in that for her, but it's certainly a dangerous time to be taking over as UK Prime Minister too.
Yeah, I mean, she's Foreign Secretary, so I guess issues like the Russia-Ukraine war will be top of mind. But for us in South Africa, we are wondering, She comes in, as you said, she's going to appoint a new cabinet very quickly ahead of this first meeting on Wednesday. We are wondering what kind of the new government, her government's foreign policy would look like. Should we expect continuity?
Well, in a sense, I think we can expect quite a lot of continuity because, of course, she is Foreign Secretary, so she's been running the foreign policy for her government already anyway. Now, when it comes to Ukraine, she absolutely has stood behind Boris Johnson's policy of showing strong support for Kiev, sanctions against Russia, military support for the Ukrainians as well, so we expect all of that very much to continue. One area to keep a close eye on is relations with China. We expect that she will actually take a tougher stance on China, and particularly with regards to human rights concerns in Xinjiang province. We expect that to be raised rather more overtly by this incoming government than Boris Johnson's. And then when it comes to international development and aid, her focus as foreign minister, and we expect this to continue as prime minister, has been on trade rather than aid. The idea being that it's much better to try and boost trade with developing countries around the world than necessarily to send handouts. So I think that balance will continue to shift as well. But yes, given that she is Foreign Secretary as we speak, she remains Foreign Secretary until tomorrow when she becomes Prime Minister, I think we'll also see a good deal of continuity as well.
And what about the outgoing man? What's next for Boris Johnson? What's the word around? What's the speculation? What is he going to do next?
Well, the speculation, a lot of it revolves around the fact that he's going to make a lot of money on the speaking and the media circuit. That certainly is expected. We expect he may well get back into doing things like writing newspaper columns, very well paid newspaper columns like he used to. But there's also a great deal of speculation that he might be considering whether he can get himself back into number 10 at some point in the future. So he will be keeping a very close eye on Liz Truss and the support and the policies that she rolls out, because if Boris Johnson gets a sniff that Liz Truss is weakened in any way, he may well be eyeing up attempting a return to Downing Street to take over from her in the future.
Is it too soon, as we conclude, Olly, to gauge public sentiment about Liz Truss? The fact that the Conservative Party, who are the governing party currently in the UK, have now chosen a woman, Liz Truss, the third female Prime Minister of the UK after Margaret Thatcher and Theresa May.
Yes, and that's one of the things the Conservative Party will often point to, the fact that they have now elected 3 female leaders to be Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, and the Labour Party has never had, the opposition Labour Party has never had a female leader who's got into the office of number 10, certainly. I mean, one of the things about Liz Truss is that the polls show that she's actually not very popular with the wider public. So she's been focusing her attention on the Conservative Party membership in recent weeks. That's been the audience she's been speaking to, the electorate that she has been trying to attract the support of. But obviously that changes now. As Prime Minister, she needs to be popular more broadly. She needs to be looking ahead to the general election due in around the end of 2024, the beginning of 2025 at the very latest. So it will be interesting to see whether she softens any of her messages or changes the way that she's been portraying some of her stances now that she is, as I say, speaking to a more broad electorate of the entire country rather than just the membership of her party.
Thank you very much for your time this afternoon on Today on eNCA. That's Olly Barratt, our correspondent in London, just giving us the latest after the Conservative Party elected Ms. Liz Truss as the new leader. And from tomorrow, she will be taking over as the Prime Minister of the UK. Everybody's going to be watching what kind of cabinet she's going to be set up and follow her policies closely. Current speculation is that she's going to be focusing domestically. There are lots of problems inside the UK at the moment.